Afternoon. So today we are here as the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee to discuss this is a work session on our collective bargaining agreements. We will conduct our annual review of compensation and benefit costs for all agencies in the executive's proposed budget. Also noted in the staff report, the committee will make initial recommendations on several aspects of compensation funding for county government, while final decisions on these items for other agencies will be made by the respective governing bodies. And while we will discuss several key aspects of the collective bargaining agreements as part of this first item, the actual votes on those will come as part of the second item led by Ms. Wellens. Before we begin, I would like to thank our labor partners who should be here today to participate in the discussion, as well as executive branch staff representatives for their hard work in preparing this budget. So 2 years ago, we were sitting virtually in the same meeting looking at the same services budget, and we are thankful for the sacrifices made by everyone to get through the past 2 years, especially the sacrifices of our hardworking county employees who have been instrumental in ensuring the health and safety of all our 1.1 million residents throughout this very difficult period of time. And for that, I know I speak for my colleagues, we are extraordinarily grateful. It is obviously imperative that the county provide pay and benefits needed to attract and retain a first-class workforce, while at the same time ensuring the salary and benefit levels remain viable, both in times of fiscal strength and in times of fiscal constraint. I want to also express my appreciation to council staff for suggesting to continue to review and update compensation policies and practices outside of the annual budget deliberation process in an effort to look at long-term cost sustainability. As part of this process, now is the time to be innovative and look at new ideas to attract the best and the brightest to Montgomery County. So with that said, I will, of course, see whether any of my colleagues have any opening remarks, and then after that, we will turn to Mr. Tromka and Mr. Howard to walk us through the staff report and committee decision points. There's quite a bit of information in the staff report, and so what I like to do is to make sure that our staff can hit all of those salient points, and then we can stop for questions, etc., comments or discussions, and then make sure that we're able to make the decisions necessary for the committee to do this work. So with that, let me see any of my colleagues have any comments, opening comments. Okay, and welcome to our labor leaders as well. Let's start then. I'll turn it over to Mr. Tromka and Mr. Howard to walk us through, and then we can again pause if there are any questions throughout the discussion.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair Navarro, and good afternoon to everyone. At the outset, I'd like to thank the executive branch staff for working with us so collaboratively again, as they always do in preparing all this information. We always have a lot of information requests and questions, and I know it's a lot of work for them to prepare them, so we appreciate everything that they do to help us get this package of information together. As the chair noted, the staff report is very large and there's a lot of information in there, so we will kind of go through and hit some of the key highlights and make sure we're pointing out the points, the dollar amounts and decisions that the committee will have to make. But obviously we won't go through the entire thing, or else we would be here all afternoon and into the evening. So I'm going to start by just pointing out the budget and compensation context section on the first page of the staff report. As we talked about at the budget overview on Tuesday, the tax-supported operating budget recommended by the executive is about $5.5 billion, an increase of about 7% over the FY22 amount. And that parallels the changes in the tax-supported compensation costs across the different agencies, as you can see on the table on page 1. The total amounts vary a bit by agency. Montgomery College is significantly lower than the other agencies at 1.8%. But in total, across the agencies, compensation costs increased by about 6.3% from FY22. And that's not surprising because staffing is the primary thing that county government does. And so most of our costs come from hiring people to provide the services and programs that we provide to the residents. So with that context, I'll turn it over first to Mr. Tromka to start walking through the pay adjustments and retirement sections.
Thank you, Mr. Howard, and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. So yeah, if you look, please, on page 3, there's a table that summarizes the major pay adjustments recommended by the executive for FY23. You'll note that there are different adjustments for different employee groups, and not all employees are eligible for each of these adjustments. In some, the maximum cumulative pay increases ranges for different employees, from a low of an average of 7.3% for non-represented employees to a high of 13.5% for FOP members. We'll walk through now briefly, as Mr. Howard said, the major points. On the bottom of page 3, we discuss the general wage adjustments. For McGeo members and for non-represented represented employees, the executive recommends a flat dollar amount of $4,333 effective in June 2023. That's at the very end of the fiscal year. Now, a flat dollar amount represents a higher pay increase for some employees than for others. For example, an employee who earns $40,000, that GWA, that general wage adjustment, would represent a 10.8% increase, while an employee who earns $100,000, that GWA would represent a 4.3%. Overall, if you look at it for the cost of the GWA on average for the employee groups, for McGeo members, it equals the equivalent of about a 5.8% increase, whereas for non-represented, it represents an increase of about 3.8%. For IAF members, the executive recommends 2 GWAs, a first one of 4% in October 2022, followed by a second of 1% in January 2023. Just want to note for the council members that the executive staff has informed us that it intends to submit a supplemental appropriation later this year to fund an additional 0.75 GWA for IF members for FY22 for the current year. And that's as per the executive's negotiated agreement for last year. So we'll be seeing this issue come back again. For FOP members, the executive recommends also 2 GWAs, 3.5% in July 2022 and another 3% in January 2023. Moving to the top of page 5, these GWAs are indeed historically high. They are 2 to 2.5% greater than the average over the past decade. Now, when we asked the executive for justification for these, he cited the high inflation rate and the overall job market being extremely competitive. And indeed, if you look at the inflation rate at the time that the executive submitted the budget, the data then, the CPI, did show a 6% year-to-year inflation rate. And so for the representative employees, all the GWAs come in the neighborhood of that 6% CPI. The outlier is the non-representative employees, where their average GWA is about 3.8%. We'll also note that historically, there has been a minimal correlation between the rate of inflation and the general wage adjustments. In many years recently, the GWAs have actually exceeded the CPI for the previous year. This is really the first time in many years where the CC has cited inflation as the justification for the general wage adjustments. Again, we'll move on to page 6, the service increments, sometimes also known as steps. The executive recommends 3.5% service increments for all employees who are not at top of grade, and that excludes the MLS, PLS, the Management Leadership Service, and the Police Leadership Service. In addition, the executive's budget includes something that's very much akin to service increment. It's called a salary schedule adjustment for FOP members. And in effect, it's another 3.5% salary adjustment, like I said, akin to a service increment. And again, the executive did provide justification stating that the salary schedules for police officers' positions have fallen well below regional comparables. Finally, the executive's budget also includes a service increment for McGeo members who did not receive a increment back in FY11, and that's a third phase at 1.25%. Bottom of page 6, the executive budget includes $1 million in tax-supported funding for pay for performance increases. That's in lieu of the service increments for Management Leadership Service and Police Leadership Service. We'll move to the top of page 7, longevity increments. These are for employees who've worked a specified number of years and are at maximum grade level, salary for their grade level. The table in the center of page 7 shows both the current and the CE recommended longevity steps. What you'll note is that the executive recommends modifying the longevity increment schedule and adding a third longevity adjustment for IAF members and for FOP members. On page 8, we'll talk about the lump sum payments. This is in the McGeo contract, and this is for employees who are not eligible for a service increment, and that would be a $600 one-time lump sum payment. Let's now move to page 9 and the cost of the pay adjustments, the cost of this package. You'll see a table that lists the cost for each element of the CE's package. The two columns that say total costs, that's the cost for both tax-supported and non-tax supported positions. Now, because many of the pay increases would take effect near the end of the fiscal year, the cost in FY23 does not really reflect the full year cost. The full year cost of each of these elements is shown in the annualized cost column. And what the data shows is that the annualized cost of these FY23 pay adjustments is about $76.7 million, or 61.7 in tax supported. And that exceeds the FY23 costs by $47 million, or 35.8 tax supported. That difference, those difference in cost between the annualized and the FY23, that difference will become part of the base budget in FY24 and will have to be funded from ongoing, not one time, but from ongoing revenues. Page 10 of the packet discusses workforce size. There was much discussion of this on Tuesday during the budget overview. The data on the number of FTEs is in the middle of page 10. Going to the bottom of page 10, we also reviewed compensation adjustments for other agencies, and we'll quickly go through those. For MCPS, the board is still engaged in contract negotiations with its bargaining units, but they do have a placeholder in their budget, $107 million in placeholders for compensation increases. And it's also interesting to note the annualization issue coming up here. Because so many of the pay increases for MCPS took effect in the third quarter of FY22, much of that cost is rolled over into FY23. In fact, 76 million, more than 76 million of the MCPS increased budget is attributable to the annualization of FY22 compensation costs. Page 11, Montgomery College. We note that last year the college's budget included no funding for employee pay adjustments. This year they do have a single salary increase for most employees, 3.5% salary increase for APSCME members, and a flat level of $3,270 for AAU members. In total, the compensation increases in the budget are about $3.76 million. Park and Planning also has a placeholder because they're also in negotiations with their bargaining units. $3.9 million for pay increases and up to $1.3 million for possible employee reclassifications. WSSC also had no cost of living or merit increases in FY21 or 22, but their FY23 budget does include nearly $7 million for employee pay increases. I will note that for both Park and Planning and WSSC, the final decisions of this will be done with the joint meeting with the Prince George's County Council, both on the overall budget and the compensation package in your joint meeting in May. Moving on to section 3. The retirement benefits, we'll summarize this fairly briefly. For the county government, there's no major changes in plan designs. And in fact, the costs for our retirement plans have declined markedly over the past year. Much of this is due to the pension fund investment returns, the very nice returns that we've gotten over the past year, which has built up our fund assets, and that helps reduce the costs to the county. We'll jump ahead a couple pages to page 13. For MCPS, a little bit more of a complicated retirement issue. As you may remember, the MCPS provides a core pension benefit for those employees who are not in the state pension plan, and then a supplemental benefit for all of their employees. For FY23, the cost of the pension benefit for MCPS for their own plan will be nearly $72 million, and that's over and above the local contribution to the state teachers' pension plan. You'll recall that in 2012, the General Assembly shifted the cost of the pension, much of the cost of the pension to the counties. For FY23, that MCPS contribution to the state pension plan will total $73.5 million. You've also asked us in the past to keep an eye on the fiscal health of the pension funds by measuring the funded ratios. We can report that all of the pension funds are in very healthy condition, again, mostly as a function of the strong investment returns. I'll now turn it back to Mr. Howard to discuss group insurance issues.
Thank you. So we're now on page 14, and we'll start with section 4, which is the group insurance for active employees for 23. And the executive's tax-supported request for active employees group insurance benefits across all agencies totals $459.3 million, which is an increase of 9.1% from FY22. You can see the different agencies' requests in the table on page 14, and the biggest increases come from both county government and from MCPS. For county government, the county does not plan any changes to active employee group insurance benefits in FY23. However, the executive's budget does include funding for a different group insurance cost share for all employee groups. As you'll recall, in FY11, as part of a series of actions to ensure long-term fiscal sustainability while recovering from the Great Recession, the council approved a group insurance cost share split of 75-25 for all group insurance plans, excluding HMO medical plans, which stayed at an 80-20 cost share split. And this is for all county government employees. Each year since, the council has reconfirmed this policy as part of its budget actions, resulting in significant cost savings. The collective bargaining agreements with the county's 3 unions were never amended to reflect this change. And for FY23, the executive includes a funding placeholder in the compensation and employee benefits non-departmental account for an 80-20 cost share for all employees. When the executive has included a similar funding placeholder in prior years, including in FY22 for FOP and IAFF, the council has rejected any changes and maintained the 75-25 cost share policy for all employees it established in FY11. If the council decides to take that same action again, it would result in a reduction to the executive's budget of $6.3 million. And for MCPS, the Board of Education also does not plan any changes to group insurance benefits in FY23. However, the reason that their request goes up in terms of dollar amount is that in prior years, they were able to draw down on their group insurance fund balance, and so we're able to lower the tax-supported request. But as we'll get to in a minute, their group insurance fund balance has gone down, and so they've increased their request for this year. As we do every year, we do note that MCPS continues to provide a health premium cost share split that is substantially different from the cost share split of county government. And for the past several years, the council has encouraged MCPS to align its cost share for active employees with that of county government. If MCPS did so, it would result in estimated annual savings in the range of $25 million. On page 15, we have information on group insurance for retirees, or more often referred to as Opeb. And there was a significant discussion on these issues on Tuesday at the full council, so I'll just briefly mention a couple of the key data points here I want to make sure the committee is aware of. First, on page 16 is the recommended pay-as-you-go funding for each agency. You note that for county government, the total amount is $48.9 million. The executive's recommendation was for $20 million of this from $28.9 million from tax-supported dollars, and the remaining $20 million from the group insurance, the Opeb trust fund. The council indicated its intention to reject that provision, but the total amount here, $48.9 million, will not change, just the funding sources change when we get to that part. Then on page 16, we have the recommended Opeb pre-funding. The executive recommends $62.8 million in tax-supported pre-funding for FY23, which represents a significant decrease of $29.3 million or 31.8%. And the reduction in Opeb pre-funding this year is primarily due to strong investment performance and assumption changes. And you can see on page 16 in the table the differences by agency, with the biggest reduction coming in MCPS, down from $73 million to $57.4 million. For county government, the pre-funding zeroes out from $10.8 million down to zero. And for Montgomery College, that's the other big change. It goes from $5.6 million down to $1.7 million. And county government, MCPS, and Montgomery College are all part of the consolidated Opeb trust. And with the high-performing stock market, as well as the strong management from the trust board and staff, the consolidated trust did achieve a 26% investment return in 2021. And that added $162.5 million to the trust. It's obviously a significant amount, an amount that's greater than the total investment income for the prior 4 years combined, which was about $156 million. So as a result, the pre-funding requirements and the updated actuarially determined contributions for each of the agencies decreased significantly, which led to the reduction in pre-funding this year. One point that we discussed on Tuesday a little bit, that the historic rates of returns are not expected to continue, unfortunately. We hope that they do, but the Board of Investment Trustees is projecting annualized average returns closer to 6% over the next few years. So that's something that we'll need to keep a look on, and especially as part of the upcoming discussion on Opeb funding policies. We include additional information on the status of the Opeb funds, as well as a discussion of the executive's recommended Opeb drawdown, which was presented to the council on Tuesday. So I won't go over that, but that's on pages 18 and 19 in the staff report. On page 20, we have information on the each agency's group insurance funds. And the council policy, which was adopted in December 2003, is for each agency to try to maintain a group insurance fund balance of around 5% of annual expenditures. And you can see there's lots of variation this year in where each agency is in terms of its fund balance, and a lot of it is attributable to the variations in expenditures coming out of the COVID pandemic. The county government expects to end, well, it did end FY21 with a negative fund balance of 5%, but projects to end, sorry, I messed up my numbers. Ended FY21 with a negative fund balance, but projects to end FY22 with a year-end fund balance in the positive at 1.2 million or 0.4%. And the fiscal projection does show a slowly gradual build up to that 5% level, beginning reaching there in FY25. MCPS has a 4.6% fund balance at the end of FY21, although they are projected to decrease that down to 2.9% at the end of FY22. The MCPS retired employees does have a bigger fund balance of 30.5% at the end of FY21, and they are going to draw down on that to end FY22 at an assumed 17.2%. And then Park and Planning has a 22.5% balance at the end of 21, and that will be drawn down to approximately 15.9% at the end of FY23. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Aaron to talk about compensation cost sustainability.
So we're on page 21 of the packet, and as you recall, last year, the council did approve a resolution establishing a policy on the sustainability of county government compensation. And in effect, you created a sustainability test. And that test was that the annual growth rate of compensation costs, of tax-supported compensation costs, should be similar to the annual growth rate of tax-supported revenues. So if you look at the executive's budget for FY23, tax-supported compensation growth costs are increased by 7.1%. In contrast, the executive's budget over the 6-year period projects that revenues will grow by an average of 3.4%. So what we have is compensation growth rate growing more than double the rate of growth for revenues. This gap is illustrated in the table and the graph on page 22. This shows the gap between the rates of compensation and revenue growth, and you'll see that the gap grows each year, rising to $293 million in FY28. And if you add these all together, cumulatively over the 6-year period, that totals $946 million, almost $1 billion difference between the two growth rates, and that's represented by the area shaded by blue in the graph. So this, in sum, is the sustainability gap. And it will create a challenge for council members. The unavoidable outcome of a recurring trend of this sort is to constrain the county's ability to meet future spending priorities, including future pay adjustments, and it could necessitate finding new, ongoing, as opposed to one-time tax revenues. We'll move on to page 24, which are the dollars for compensation found in the NDAs. We're just going to highlight two of these because they touch on issues that were discussed previously. In A, compensation and employee benefits adjustments, this is the NDA, the non-departmental account that includes the 75-25% group insurance cost share recommended by the executive. And in C, the group insurance rate, group insurance for retirees, this is the NDA that houses the $20 million drawdown in the Opeb trust fund. We'll move to page 25 of the packet, the section called Administration of County Government Retirement Plans and Opeb Trust. These, in essence, are the budgets to manage the retirement and retiree health benefit funds. In sum, the biggest component for this next 3 pages of the report are the costs of investment management, and those are significantly higher this year. Ironically, that's good news because the costs for investment management are a function of the amount of assets that we have, and because of the record high performance, we've generated higher fees because our assets are so high. We'll now jump to page 28, and Mr. Howell will discuss other compensation issues.
Okay, last two issues before we turn it back over to you all for questions, comments, and discussion. On page 28, the other compensation issues, the first is the new salary schedule for legislative branch non-merit employees. And this stems from the Council's Bill 51-15, which requires salary schedules to be established. And you can see there was, in the past years, there was several reasons why this did not get implemented. And so we are been working to bring this back and have a proposed schedule that's listed in the staff report. However, we're not recommending the committee take action on this today because we're waiting for 2 other items, one of which we actually did receive today is the proposed executive branch non-merit salary schedule. And then the other thing we expect to receive soon is a proposed recommended schedule from the executive branch for the Inspector General. In reviewing the classification structure of that position, the executive branch determined that the current structure for the Inspector General was inconsistent with other executive and legislative branch non-merit appointed senior management positions. And so they've recommended some corrections to that. So I wanted to point that out, but recommend that we come back to it at a later work session so we can take those up all as a package instead of trying to do them individually because they all have interrelations with each other. And the last issue is the agency analysis of personnel management on pages 29 and then the table on page 30. I want to thank the different agency representatives who put together this information each year. We talk about this in the committee, but then staff does use this information each year throughout on a variety of different issues. It provides information on the number of employees, the average annual salary, the racial and demographic breakdown of the workforce, and also the turnover rate. And that's one area that I want to highlight that we'll be kind of trying to keep track of over the next year or two and trying to determine the impacts of the Great Resignation and employment trend changes coming out of the initial phases of COVID and how that may impact county government. So just something that we'll keep an eye on and see how that impacts the different agencies. And with that, we are at the staff recommendations, so I will pause and turn it back over to you, Chair Navarro, for any questions, comments, and discussion.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you can hear me because I think I'm having some issues with my internet all of a sudden.
All good.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. For some reason, everybody's just frozen on my screen. So I'm going to ask my colleagues. I see Councilmember Katz has his hand up as well as Councilmember Friedson. So let me turn it over to Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much to our staff and our partners in labor for all that they have done on this issue and many others besides. I certainly, and though we're going to be discussing collective bargaining agreements in just a few moments, and I'm certainly supportive of those as well, but I do have concern about the wage compression for police management. And if it meets with the committee's approval, I'd like to ask our staff to look into some funding options for that. It's my understanding, I don't have facts in front of me, but it's been my understanding that in some cases, a sergeant could be making more substantially more than a lieutenant. And so obviously not in all cases, but in some. And I'd like, if possible, to have our staff look at so that we are looking at this with our eyes wide open to figure out what's the best way forward on that. Does that meet with the approval of the committee?
I think that would be appropriate.
We can certainly bring that back when we schedule a follow-up to talk about the salary schedule issues. If you're talking about the police management, Mr. Katz, then that doesn't have the same May 1st deadline as the other collective bargaining agreements do. So we have time
Right.
to
I
work
guess
on
it's
it.
not under collective bargaining.
Correct. Exactly.
So it gets nice and confusing, but we need to figure this thing out. So with that, I appreciate it, and I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
I think the chair has stepped off for a second to work out her internet, so I'll just quickly step in since I think I was next in the queue, if that's okay.
Well, since there's only three of us, I guess you would be next. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. With your indulgence, first of all, agree with you on the analysis of the wage compression issues related to police management. Not a collective bargaining issue, but a budget question, and something that we ought to, as you said, have our eyes wide open and understand. So I think we ought to work through that. I also think it would be helpful related to collective bargaining is just understand long-term the issue that was raised in the packet about this question of wage compression in general. There are these conflicting dynamics that we have here of wanting to recruit and retain talented employees, something that the county is in a competitive market for. We pride ourselves on our services, and we need talented people to be able to deploy those services. And we're in a human-heavy industry. We need people to provide the services to residents, and that's not changing anytime soon, fortunately. And we're lucky we have a lot of good people, and so we need to make sure that we do that. But there's also impacts of some of these changes, including the flat rate that approach that we've taken. So I'm not sure if it's today or if it's a subsequent work session or a conversation that we have moving forward, but I do think that is something that we ought to think about and look at, not necessarily as an up or down question today, but a longer term question of what is the impact of that going to be if that trend continues between the executive branch and the labor partners. I understand there's good arguments to do it both ways, but there are impacts on both depending on how you do it. And I think it would be helpful for us to understand that a little bit moving forward. So I just wanted to kind of put a flag and plant on that. Again, I don't think it's an up or down approval question here. It's more of a long-term, how is this going to work, and what are the impacts going to be, and how do we prepare for it. So I wanted to point that out. And then I am particularly interested, and I would like to hear from the executive branch related to really page 21 and 22 that we went over, in this question of the long-term sustainability here. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, I guess Tuesday. My days are getting mixed up since we're now in budget hearings every day. I remembered being at the dais yesterday, forgot what we were at the dais for. This, it is very concerning to me, this question of 7.1% increase with only 3.4% expected growth increase. It was said earlier that there was no dispute to those numbers, but there was a question of whether or not the conclusion that those numbers led to, that there would be some sustainability challenges. There's some dispute there. I don't really understand that, to be honest with you. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about the executive branch's viewpoint on this, and to add additional layer, which we didn't talk about before, that this, I believe, is $946 million, almost $1 billion over the next several years, because it's a compounding effect. And whether or not we think we're going to have tax-supported revenues that are going to be able to sustain an additional nearly $1 billion in expenses over the next several years. So I don't know who from the executive branch would be most appropriate to answer that, but maybe you, Mr. Waters.
Sure. I can start answering this, and we'll pass it on to some of my colleagues if they feel I miss a point or want to add something. So your point about sustainability. So as you know, the budget isn't just comprised of tax revenues. We also have revenues that we receive from the state in the form of state aid. MCPS receives significant state aid, for example. We also receive funding from the federal government and other sources of revenues that fund positions and programs and operating expenses throughout the budget. So to your point about sustainability, so I think the council staff pointed out in the packet that was presented on Tuesday that the proposed fiscal plan for FY23 would leave about a $54.2 million growth in FY24. This assumes a 1.1% growth rate. Looking backwards over the past 6 fiscal years, this is the second highest amount that shows in the second subsequent fiscal year for the year being proposed. For example, last year, in last year's approved budget, the FY22 approved budget, the amount available in FY23 actually shrank by 36 million. So it was a negative 36 million. The year before that, it was about $93 million in growth, and that reflected the same services budget that was adopted by the council in response to the pandemic. Prior to that, the previous 3 years, the amount available in the second subsequent fiscal year ranged from a low of negative 18.6 million to a high of 16.1 million. So this number fluctuates year over year and is dependent on estimates that are available at the time of putting together the budget. So just because we're showing an estimated increase funding available in FY24 of $54.2 million, that number could be higher. And as you know, of the past several fiscal years, every year we have to come in with a balanced budget, and the decisions have to be made by the policymakers, by the council, as well as the executive, on how to allocate those funds. So in terms of sustainability, I want to revisit the point we made that the OMB director made on Tuesday, and talking about how, yes, this is a year, we budget on a yearly basis, and revenue estimates change. At the moment, revenue estimates are looking very positive for the county, as evidenced by the fact that we had assumed a $58 million revenue adjustment for the pass-through entity income tax returns. That amount actually wound up being $68 million for FY22. Consequently, that translates to an $11 million growth rate for FY23. So in addition to getting the $10 million extra in FY22, we're actually receiving, the Department of Finance is estimating that translates into, I think, a $11.5 million growth for FY23. So these numbers are changing constantly, and the numbers presented in the fiscal plan only represent estimates. It's a snapshot in time of when the budget is transmitted based on the estimates and assumptions listed on the fiscal plan.
Well, I appreciate that. I guess the concern is the snapshot in time is the only snapshot we have, and it's the decisions we make have to be based on the assumptions we're operating under today. And I appreciate the thought process that the budget is an annual exercise, which it is. But as we talked about on Tuesday, it's not really a blank slate. The county executive and the former CAO talked about zero-based budgeting. We don't do zero-based budgeting in the county. That is not the approach that we take. The budget is additive year over year. The contracts build on themselves as they should. All the other costs in the budget builds on itself as it should. We literally look at a budget and it compares what the baseline was last year to what we're adding to it. I mean, we literally have set up our entire budget process for as long as anybody can remember based on growth. The baseline is last year. The baseline is not zero. And so I think it is a little bit of a fiscal fantasy, respectfully, to assume that each year we're starting off anew and we're making independent decisions that have no real impact on prior decisions that have been made. So I would just know I'm still very concerned that the sustainability of the budget overall has not really been answered. I know we talked a lot about state aid and federal aid. For the most part, those were one-time huge increases in an unprecedented moment, and they're not likely to continue at the levels that they have. So the intention of the fiscal policy is to have tax-supported expenses to tax-supported revenues, because that's what we can control. And I don't know a better way to do it. If there is, I'd certainly be open to it. I think this committee should discuss it and hear from the executive branch if you have a better indicator that you think we ought to be looking at. But the indicator that we have, the only indicator that I can think of that is appropriate is sounding some alarm bells in terms of our long-term fiscal health here. And so I just wanted to note my concerns, express my concerns. With all that said, I appreciate all the work that has gone into this. I understand it's been a really challenging moment to figure out all the different moving parts in the budget. I really appreciate all of our labor partners and want to express my appreciation to them. Our labor force has stepped up in a way that few people could imagine. Just a few years ago, they were stepping up and stretched thin before, and that was taken to new levels. So I don't want that to be discounted as part of this conversation, but I think it would be remiss if we didn't raise some concerns about what position this may leave us in subsequent budgets. And perhaps fiscal 23 will be okay, but fiscal 24, according to council staff and according to this analysis, we could have a savings plan before we even begin making additions. And if you look at fiscal 25 and beyond of the next few years, we're looking at almost $1 billion in increase. And I think few of us could imagine the county's tax base being able to withstand an additional $1 billion in expenses without dramatic changes and dramatic disruptions. So with all that, I'll yield back. Appreciate the indulgence of colleagues and just wanted to express some overarching fiscal concerns related to our fiscal policies.
Thank you. I hope my internet is okay. I appreciate this conversation because I think as we look towards the future, the near future, reflecting on what has happened in the last 2 and some months, more than ever, I think that there's going to have to be a coming together of the minds with all the leadership in the county regarding this, this conversation around job creation and expanding and being, super aggressive with our economic development strategy, recognizing that we have extraordinary assets. I mean, that's the good news about this county, but we also have this responsibility to think about economic development through this equity lens. So it is about jobs, and then we talk about climate change and the green economy and the opportunities that opens. So there's a lot to work with, except that it's always harder, right? I mean, I worry that a lot of this conversation is predicated on, hey, no problem, let's just go ahead and grow, and then we'll just start, looking at tax increases. That's not going to be sustainable. So I think that it's going to be critical to be super intentional in setting some targets that would get us on that, important track of creating jobs and expanding our tax base in that way, because no doubt that our residents are going to need more and more support from our county employees. And we've seen it. We understand the competition. It's real for qualified staff. And so it's not an either or that we're facing. So, I mean, I do agree. I think especially for the next council, this is going to have to be front and center. But again, the good news is that we've laid out a really good foundation, and I think there's a lot to work with. All right, so what's next? Councilmember Katz, is your hand still up?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay,
just briefly, I appreciate these conversations as well, obviously, but I do think it's got to be mentioned. I always say that there's certain things you can't afford not to do. And economic development in many, many ways is based on the services that government gives to actually receive businesses that are interested in coming to our area. And if we don't have the best schools, if we don't have the best services possible, that if you dial 911, in that time of crisis, that you get the best services from your fire and rescue, from your police department, from everything we do. Part of our economic development is the services we give. And if the services that we're giving, in order for them to be the best, you have to attract, as you said, Madam Chair, the very best employees that we can possibly have, and knowing what our competitors are doing and have done to really take many of our employees in many ways. I've said that we are very proud of the fact that we have police people who were in Montgomery County as police chiefs across the United States, and we do. But the fact is, just like we learned for our bus drivers who are trained here and being taken by Metro, we don't want that. And it's fine that someone else realizes the talent we have, but we have to realize the talent we have as well. So I think this does need to be a bigger conversation. I think we all need to sit around that big table, as Ike Leggett used to talk about, and figure out where we need to be and how we need to get there. But we need to make certain that our employees who do the services that are the basis for our economic development are well compensated. So I thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I don't see my colleagues' hands anymore. So I think before we move on, this might be a good opportunity to also hear from our employee unions leadership, just some comments about our, what we're about to consider, and just some thoughts on how things are respectively in each of your particular areas, just for the context as we then will move to vote on the negotiated agreements. Does anybody want to share some of your perspectives? I don't know if my internet is like dead or what. I think Mr. Wren, I think I do see you.
Jeff Lee,
I'm gonna have to turn off my video.
Go ahead, Gino.
Okay. I greatly appreciate this kind of conversation. When we talk about sustainability, at the end of the day, that means sustain our workforce. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. So when we go to the bargaining table, I don't want anybody to believe that we're not paying attention to sustainability, because it doesn't do us any good to negotiate competitive contracts that will put us in a much more competitive position if the end result of that is losing people. So, we often talk about sustainability, but no one seems to ever really want to engage the union's thinking in that regard. And if we're going to have a broader conversation, I strongly recommend that a table be set with representatives from the council, the union leadership, and the executive, and we get in the weeds and talk about how we can sustain our public service infrastructure going forward. Because every time we run into issues with revenues, it's our membership that pays the consequences for that, and that's not lost on us. Now, in terms of labor costs, what's often left out of the analysis, and I wish that these analyses would be a little more balanced. No one speaks to the many years that we lowered labor costs. Lowered them. They didn't even stay equal. They were lowered. Now we're talking about increasing them, but even with the increase, it doesn't erase what we've lost over decades of time in compensation and benefits and retirement benefits. When you do analysis in terms of where your labor costs are, you have to start from you have to include where were they 5-10 years ago. And if you look at our trend, they went down. So a 7% increase at the moment may seem high on average, but keep in mind the cost of living at the moment is 9%. 9% and increasing. So our members and their families, who tend to be lower wage workers, are feeling the squeeze of that. So a 5.8% average increase for my membership, for instance, still puts them behind the continued increase in inflation. Doesn't even put them equal. It keeps them behind. So from my perspective, that's a modest increase. So there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had in terms of benefits, pension plans, and compensation, because when you look at the total compensation package, I can only speak for myself, our membership, we're behind the market. We are behind the market. We're the only public sector jurisdiction in the entire state of Maryland that does not have a defined benefit plan. If you think for a moment, if a person has two job offers, one from Montgomery and one from Howard, and Howard tends to pay a little better, and there's a pension plan, a DB pension plan at Howard and not in Montgomery, and they're paying less for their health care in Howard than they would in Montgomery County, that's a pretty simple decision to make in terms of meeting the needs of your families. So that's the fundamental problem that we're all faced with in trying to stay competitive in one of the most competitive markets in the country. I think these wages, these increases are more than justified. I think rolling back the health benefit to the 80-20 split is long overdue. You imposed an increase in health care on us during the recession with a promise that you would give it back going forward. It's going on over, what, 10 years maybe? The question then becomes, when does the employer honor their promises? And that has an impact on morale and retention. That destroys morale. And when an offer is dangled in front of them in Frederick, Howard, Loudoun, Fairfax, it's a simple decision for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wren. And again, thank you to the employees. One piece that I'm always mindful of as I hear you discuss the expectations of our residents in terms of services is, of course, the importance of the culturally and linguistically proficient services, which means that we need to figure out how to attract and retain staff that also reflect the community here in Montgomery County, which has become more and more diverse with a lot of needs. We saw that during the pandemic, how critical that was. Mr. Buttle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the IFF bargaining unit, some of these increases in the package that we sent over to the council, it's because we're falling behind competitively with other jurisdictions. If you compare us to other Maryland jurisdictions and the District of Columbia, we're 4 out of 7 in starting pay. And if you look at the top end of the scale, we're 6 out of 7. That's been compounded by several factors. And you have to look at more than just the percentage increase. Back in 2011 and 2012, we incurred in each of those years a 1% additional contribution into the pension system, which of course lowers the employees' take-home pay. And then, we have since fiscal year 2011, it's been mentioned by staff, and Mr. Wren just mentioned it, the council has only been approving the 75-25 funding for healthcare, which, again, reduces employees' net pay and take-home pay. So we have some competitive issues, and I'll mention on the FY11 reduction to the 75-25 split. That was done in an era, if everybody recalls, some council members were here and some were not, but FY11, 12, and 13 were really challenging for the county. That was not a fun time to be an employee here. It wasn't a fun time to be a council member. Those were rough times. But when the council reduction of 75-25, I know council staff mentioned that the agreements were never changed to reflect that. And the reason for that is that we never agreed to the change. And the reason we didn't agree to the change is because it was intended to be a short-term measure to get the county through some of the tough fiscal years. Fast forward to all the way to FY23, which is the budget before you, we are not in those times anymore that we were in fiscal year 11, fiscal year 12, and fiscal year 13. And the promise from the county council at the time was we're only going to do this long enough and so we can get into better times. And I think better times are here. And, we are 12 fiscal years later. At what point do we go back to to funding the healthcare when we've gotten past the need to to help with the county during those awful budget years that we had. So it's just there's a number of factors that go into it. You can't just look at the percentage in a vacuum by itself. There's a lot of things, but we are really hurt competitively, and we have some of some prospective firefighters are just simply choosing to go to other jurisdictions. I think when we had applications this last round in December, January, we initially only received 600 applications. And while 600 might sound a lot to a layperson, that's extraordinarily low for the fire and rescue service. In fact, they had to extend the application period to try to go out and recruit more applicants. Because we need about a minimum of 1,000 to get a year's worth of firefighters hired. At least 1,000 applications because of the attrition as people work through the process. So, I would urge the council to not only approve these contracts, but to take into context that the employees are the services. Without the employees, the services don't get delivered. And it's just really important that when we're talking about employees and compensation, they are part of the delivery of services here to county residents. So thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Buttle. Again, I continue to have this weird connectivity issue today for some reason. I don't know if Mr. Holland, I can't see whether his hand is up, but if you just want to signal, then just speak up.
Sure. I'll just echo some of the things that my colleague said from the other unions. First of all, sustainability is the law. That is the law that we must follow when we're negotiating the contracts. The arbitrator must look at sustainability in the future. So if we're coming in with something that's sustainable, we will lose arbitration. Unfortunately, we haven't had to go to arbitration. These are mutually agreed to contracts, but that's something that we must do. And that's something we always look at to make sure these are sustainable into the future. It's no surprise to anyone here, the police department has historic rates of people leaving here. We're 80 officers down as of the first of this month, and those savings are not realized in this budget. Where are the savings at of the officers that are no longer here? We're saving money. Officers are doing more with less. They deserve raises. You guys also know that we're one of the lowest paid police departments in the region at starting pay and just in the middle at top pay. So these are well-deserved raises. These are only going to put us almost with what inflation is now at 9% as of February of 2022 and keeps going up. So believe me, other jurisdictions are going to raise their pay for their police officers, and we're still going to be behind. But this is a much needed raises if we're going to try to get police officers to come to Montgomery County. Our class now only has 12 people in it. We're losing 12 officers a month. And believe me, if pay raises do not go through, that will double. And we will be in a serious crisis in Montgomery County. Going as for healthcare, the healthcare fund is very sustainable. And in fact, every year that the council has rejected it, we have gone back to the county executive and have agreed to not file a prohibited labor practice for him to put the 75-25 into the budget. And last year we came to an agreement that we would track healthcare, share healthcare costs, and the healthcare costs are fine. In fact, they're so fine that money's been taken out of healthcare to fund other parts of the budget, like $70 million has been taken, which 25% of that is our members' money. So it is well within right to go back to the 80-20s as was negotiated. That helped us get through the recession. And I think now, 11 years later, 12 years later, is the time to put that back into the budget. So I thank you for letting me make my comments.
Thank you. All right, let's see, Mr. Howard, what do we need to do next?
Okay, so now we need to go through the package of recommendation on pages 31 through 33, and we can take these up as blocks. But just as a reminder, the compensation provisions in the collectively bargained agreements will come next in the next item, and also that the final pay and benefit decisions for other agencies will be made as part of their respective governing bodies' final decision-making after the council approves final dollar amounts. So with that, we have the first section of recommendations for this item is section A on page 31 for FY23 pay adjustments. And the three recommendations in this category would be to support the executive proposed funding for FY23 pay adjustments for non-represented employees. And I'll add in the caveat from Mr. Katz that will come back on the police management with with some different options there. To support the funding within the MCPS, Montgomery College, Park and Planning, and WSSC budget for requested allocations for compensation, with the final decisions on Park and Planning and WSSC to come at the bi-county meeting with the Prince George's County Council. And then also to maintain the language in the budget resolution, which was added for the first time in FY22, specifying that council approval is required for provision of general emergency or hazard pay for more than 10 consecutive days, and for any provision of COVID-19 hazard pay. So that is the first group of recommendations.
Okay. Are there questions, comments from my colleagues? Is there a motion for those first three recommendations?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Friedson, second by Councilmember Katz. Any comments or discussion on those, colleagues? I'm not hearing any. All right, so without objection, we will accept the first three.
Okay, next we'll move on to section B on page 32. And the recommendations there, this is for the FY23 group insurance, would be as follows. First, support the agency's FY23 tax-supported request for active employee costs, excluding the cost share for county government employees, which will be addressed in section D that we'll get to in a minute. Support the MCPS, College, and Park and Planning FY23 tax-supported pay-as-you-go requests for retired employee costs. Reject the executive's recommendation to use $20 million in Opeb trust assets in FY23 to help fund county government retiree health costs, and add $20 million to the reconciliation list to restore that funding to the group insurance retirees NDA. Support the executive's recommended FY23 Opeb pre-funding and approve the recommended funding in the NDAs for the College, MCPS, and the Retiree Health Benefit Trust. Support the recommended FY23 projection for the county government's Employee Health Benefits Self-Insurance Fund. And last to it, additionally encourage MCPS to take further efforts to align their group insurance premium cost share for active employees with the cost share established by county government. That is section B.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I just went back to many years ago. Madam Chair, how are you? I certainly am in agreement about the $20 million, which we've all been in agreement on Tuesday about OPEB. I think that that's something that's necessary. I was not aware of until 5 minutes ago when our labor partners explained this whole thing about 75-25 for health insurance and 80-20. I believe that's something that if Montgomery County made an agreement many years ago, we need to look at how we can come back to the agreement that was made. I understand it's about $6 million or whatever, but I think that should be a discussion that we have. I really do. I think that I was not aware of it to the degree that I am right this moment.
Mr. Katz, I would just point out one thing. Sorry, Councilmember Navarro, did you?
No, I was going to say, I don't think that's in this block, right? Is that decision on this block, Mr. Howard?
No, that decision would be
80-20 versus.
Yeah, that decision would come in block D.
Okay. Well,
right.
I'm fine with this block.
Councilmember Katz, can we?
I'm fine with this block. However, watch this space. Thank you.
I'll second the approval of this block. It notes MCPS's consistency with county government, but it doesn't address what the county government's position is. So I'll second Councilmember Katz, or I'll move and let him say, however you would like to take it up, Madam Chair.
All right, without objection, we will approve block B.
So now we are on block C, which is again on page 32. This is the allocations for retirement. And it would be to approve the recommended county contributions for the county government employees retirement system, the retirement savings plan, and the guaranteed retirement income plan. To approve the recommended FY23 administrative and operating budgets of the employee retirement system, the retirement savings plan, the guaranteed retirement income plan, the deferred compensation plan, and the consolidated retiree health benefits trust. To continue to monitor the funded ratio of the agency's pensions funds, and to encourage MCPS to achieve savings in retirement costs as set forth in OLO Memorandum Report 2016-5 MCPS local pension plan and supplement. And that is section C.
Move approval as a block.
Second.
All right, without objection, we will approve section C.
Okay, so now we are to section D, which is the county government compensation related non-departmental accounts. And so there's two recommendations here. The first is to approve the executive's recommended funding for the Montgomery County Employee Retirement Plans, State Position Supplement, and State Retirement Contribution NDAs. And the second is to approve the executive's recommended funding for the Compensation and Employee Benefits Adjustment NDA, except for the $6.3 million included for changes in the group insurance cost share for county government employees. Staff recommends that the committee recommend rejecting this item as part of its decision on the collective bargaining agreements. If the committee reaffirms the same cost share split for all employees it has since FY11, it will reduce the NDA by $6.3 million. The only one item I would like to point out on this issue is I would just respectfully disagree that the council had promised that they would return the cost share to 80-20. It was a policy decision to make it at 75-25, and the intent was that decision would stay that way and would not be returned in a certain time frame. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was here during that time, and it was a very difficult time. Obviously, we were faced with an extraordinary challenge. When we looked at the trajectory of the county at that particular moment of that recession, it was clear that unless we made some very, very significant changes, we were not going to make it. So we did everything. We did, progressive furloughs. We looked at some of these issues with cost sharing. We rebased the school system's budget. I mean, that was huge. But the one thing that we were able to achieve was to not cut any, jobs, which was something I remember saying. I, couldn't sleep at night thinking that if we had to actually lay off our employees, people who had mortgages and who, it was just such a difficult time. Oftentimes I hear some colleagues say that when they joined the council in 2018, that one of the first things they did was a savings plan. I joined in 2009, and the first thing I was faced with very quickly were just savings plan after savings plan, and then this extraordinary restructuring, which was very hard. But it is true that we were able to navigate through that time. This was one of those components, and I think it is accurate that, it's true that we didn't say that it was something that the council was going to necessarily revert. However, and I've been a proponent of this for a very long time, we've included language for MCPS forever. I must say that for me, especially after the last 2 years and really thinking a lot about the impact of this pandemic on our healthcare system, and thinking about, again, what our employees had to go through and what it means to have additional money in your pocket, especially when you're trying to access healthcare insurance, with the money that we spent helping our constituents with all of these types of additional supports in the healthcare space, and also what we're seeing in terms of pressures to retain qualified employees. I feel like it's, for me personally, I'm ready to actually accept the executive's recommendation, which the previous executive used to always include as well, by the way. It's not that is new in any way. I think that this is part of the overall approach for us to be able to attract and retain qualified employees. And as I said earlier, we talk a lot about racial equity and social justice. We need to take a very close look at our staff as well, because we can't pretend that we can, provide appropriate supports to all our residents, given who we are demographically, without having the best possible tools to attract and retain, qualified, bilingual, people who reflect our community, et cetera. So all that to say that, it's my last budget. I think it's time that we do that. I think it's time that we revert. And it made a difference in 2011. I'm not going to lie, it did, because every little bit helped. It was a combination of factors, but it is not such an extraordinary amount that is going to, somehow, I think, have a detrimental impact. So I stand ready to support the 80-20, but that's just me. So I think that we should have a conversation with colleagues and see where everybody is. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Councilmember Cal.
I agree with you. I think that there again we can discuss exactly what happened in the history of it, but I believe it is if 75-25 does make a difference to our employees. It's money that's in their pocket that they don't have to take out of their pocket. It's for health reasons, which we want everybody to be healthy, especially our employees. So I'm in favor of retaining the county executive's suggestion.
Which is the 80-20.
The 80-20.
Okay. Councilor Pizza.
Yeah, I appreciate colleagues here. I certainly appreciate the comments earlier by the labor partners, and understand that this has been an ongoing issue where the county executive, not just this county executive, but the prior county executive, has put it in. The council has rejected it. I would be open to a longer conversation, kind of a policy change, but I do see this as a policy change for the council, and not comfortable in light of some overarching challenges already with the fiscal sustainability of the budget in general, to change a policy here in the other direction. But I understand where colleagues are coming from, recognizing all of the issues, and so I will respectfully vote no on this particular issue to keep it as the precedent for the last, 11 years, but understand where colleagues are coming from.
I understand. And again, the only thing I will reiterate is that this was part of a package of particular decisions we had to make to steer the ship in a different direction. So that is why, as I feel that it is consistent with our ability to not have to necessarily perpetuate something that was made in light of a particular response. I think that right now we're trying to respond in a different direction, which is how do we attract and retain the best possible employees. So that would be I think a 2 in support, and Councilmember Friedson opposing, and then we'll see what happens on the full council session.
So
Hi, Mr. Howard.
The way I'm going to record that is for the first item, for the funding for the different NDAs. Unless there's any objection, I'll record that as 3-0 support. And for the second item, it'll be 2-1 to keep the same funding as recommended by the executive. And just a reminder, you do actually have to take the actual vote on that item will come as part of the collective bargaining agreements.
Exactly.
It's kind of weird because the funding is in the NDA, but then the action is in the CBAs, which will be the next item.
It was for all the years that I've been on the council, this particular session is always confusing to me, but hey.
Right. Maybe one of these
we'll
years.
Make it happen.
Yeah, maybe one of these
As you
years.
can tell, you shouldn't feel that special. I spoke under the wrong part of this. So I was confused from the very beginning, but anyhow.
And so the last item before we get to the actual bargaining agreements would just be Section E, the compensation policies and practices. And this would just be, as you've done in prior years, to ask staff to, outside of the budget timeframe, to look at some of the long-term policies and practices, and look to see if there's any suggestions or innovations or things that the council might want to consider moving forward. So this is just kind of giving us more work to do in the future.
I appreciate that very much. And those 3 items, just to put them on the record, is to review the review of the legal, regulatory, and policy framework related to compensation costs, to identify changes that could help address long-term sustainability, review of parity between non-represented employees and other employee groups, and revisit the benefits plan costs and funding across all county-funded agencies. I think those are really important. Obviously, notwithstanding all of the regulations that surround HR, I will reiterate that we do need to pay close attention to making sure that our employees reflect the very diverse needs of our constituents, because this is how we are able to achieve the most impactful service delivery goals. So I think that as we discuss all of these issues, we should always keep that in mind as well. All right. Any other thoughts around this particular item? Are we done with this, Mr. Howard and
Yes,
Mr. Chapter?
that's, unless there's any other comments on this, then we are done with this item and you can move on to the next
With
item.
this particular one. All right, so I see Ms. Wellens is here to help us through the next item.
Thank you so much, Chair Navarro, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you also to our partners on the executive staff and labor representatives. I especially appreciated many gracious responses from OLO and OCA, or sorry, not OLO, well, you too, Aaron, but for OLR, OCA, and OMB with my many questions in going through the collective bargaining agreements. The issue before you is the nitty gritty on the collective bargaining agreements, specifically whether you, as the committee, want to recommend for approval to the full council resolutions indicating the council's intent to accept or reject the certain provisions of the collective bargaining agreements. And as a reminder, every year the council reviews any term or condition of a collective bargaining agreement requiring an appropriation of funds, a present or future fiscal impact, or the enactment, repeal, or modification of a county law or regulation. And there is a timeline associated with this process that the resolution indicating the council's intent is supposed to be adopted by the council by May 1. You are scheduled to consider the resolutions and act on them on April 26th, meeting that deadline. There also is the option, however, if the council so wishes, to extend that deadline until May 15th. So I want to make one clarification, one of probably several clarifications. On the page 1 of the staff memorandum, I mistakenly indicated that the 3 CBAs are expiring on June 30th, 2023. That is not accurate. It's the McGeo and FOP expire. The current agreements expire on June 30th, 2023. IAFF, there is the current agreement, which will expire at the end of this June. And then there's the new agreement negotiated, which you'll see in the addendum to the staff packet. And that is for the term starting this July and then ending in June 30th, 2024. I think unless the chair would like me to go through this otherwise, it might make sense to look at Circle 64 of the packet, which contains a summary of the various provisions. There's what's labeled as a FY23 council decision chart for collective bargaining agreements. And it goes through in blocks the different categories of the terms and provisions for each collective bargaining unit. And if you'd like, Madam Chair, we can give a brief summary. I know you've already discussed many of these provisions in detail during your first item, but we could briefly recap and then see how the committee wants to move forward with the particular blocks, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Correct. I think in the past, we just, very quickly just mentioned each piece, and then the committee just expresses its intention, its decision. So I think, I think that would be fine. I do know that obviously there are at least, the insurance cost share, obviously it's something that it would be, we have different opinions on, and I don't know if the Opeb piece is here, but I think other than that, most everything we agreed on, so we could just move right through it in block. I think would be fine.
Okay, excellent. The first block are the general wage adjustments, and I would just add to, and again, I'm on Circle 64 of the packet. I would just add that for IAFF, it's not listed here, it is in the addendum, but there's the additional recommendation by the executive for the additional GWA based upon certain inflationary metrics having been met in March. So that's also included in here.
Okay, colleagues, I see thumbs up without objection. I think that we will adopt this particular block?
The second block relates to the service increments, still on page 64.
Colleagues, and maybe you can just say that it's okay, because for some reason everybody's kind of frozen. So without objection, are we okay, Councilmember
Okay,
Katz and
yeah.
Councilmember Feetson? Awesome. All right, we're okay with that.
The next category, still on Circle 64, is longevity increments.
Okay.
Right. No objections. Perfect.
Next, we have tuition assistance, which is essentially unchanged from FY22. Well, no new fiscal impact.
Good.
Correct. All right. Without objection, I think that we're okay with that block. Yes.
Next, Madam Chair, is the block regarding group insurance benefits. So, consistent with your prior decision, I would think that, your proposal would be accepting the 60-80 split in the resolutions. Obviously, the full council, based on discussions with your colleagues, could revisit that if they wish.
Yeah.
80-20.
80.
Yeah. Subject to the full council approval, we're not, I don't think we need, I don't need to vote against approving a resolution on a decision we've already made. So
Yeah, here, right. I think the way I think that we're going to do this particular one is that the majority of the committee has decided to accept the executive's recommendation. When we get to full council, obviously we'll note that, and if somebody in the full council wants to make a motion for that particular item, and it's changed, then that's what we'll do. But I think in this instance,
I'll vote for it in light of the committee's prior decision, if that could be reflected. So we need to show it as a 2-1 if you don't want.
It's like you voted against an amendment, but you vote for the whole thing.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. Next, we have increases in special pay. By and large, these are the same as in FY22, although there is an increase in field training differential for FOP members from $3.50 an hour to $6 an hour for eligible employees.
all right, with no objection, colleagues. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next category is increases in clothing, equipment, vehicle use, and transit subsidy. Again, these are essentially the same no new fiscal impact for these items.
Correct. Excellent. Without objection, hearing none, we will accept that.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And last but not least, retirement plan increases. These are the same fiscal impact as 2022, with the exception of for IAFF. As you know, the executive proposed and the council introduced just this week legislation to provide up to 24 months of credited service towards retirement for Group G members in IAFF with prior U.S. military service. I will note, Mr. Buttle and Ms. Harling brought to my attention that there were some errors in the way that I kind of translated the executive's proposed bill into what was introduced. And so I just want to note for the record that I'm aware of that, or the council staff's aware of that, and that will be corrected.
Yeah, just a quick question on this, just process question. I don't want to prejudge the proposal, which I think is a reasonable one, but would we normally approve the condition in the collective bargaining agreement prior to the policy decision of taking up the legislation? Again, it's just a policy issue. I just want to make sure that we're not, traditionally we would take up the policy issue and then I don't want to reject it, certainly, prejudice it in that way, but I just want to make sure that we're not, doing something out of order here.
Mr. Friedson, yes. I mean, great question. Yes, normally in the past, this has been done where there is legislation is necessary in order to bring to fruition whatever has been negotiated. And what the council has in the past indicated in its resolution, annual resolution about the collective bargaining agreements, its intent to approve that item. I realize that the order is a little bit odd in the sense that the legislation has not yet been acted on. I know last year there was a piece of legislation that was forthcoming from the executive that we didn't have yet in hand at the time that the resolutions were done. And in that case, I think we did insert some language in the resolutions saying, basically contingent upon receipt of the legislation from the executive. But we do have it this
We do have it, but we haven't discussed it or taken it. I mean, I do think we should include language that says contingent on council approval of, the bill number, which we now have, just from a appropriate, legislative appropriateness standpoint. Again, not an indication of my views on the particular legislation, but just as a matter of process.
I think that's the cleanest way to do it. We just insert that language.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Friedson.
Sure. Yeah. So I would move it with that language or, support that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that without objection, I think that we all agree on that.
Second it with that language.
Awesome. All right. Okay, anything else, Ms. Wellens?
I don't believe so. So just to summarize, the committee is recommending for full council approval the resolutions with the specific terms that we previously discussed during this conversation. We went through the individual items. So everything will be noted and it will be made clear in the staff packet that the decision about the 60-20 split was a 2-to-1. So that will be
80-20.
80-20.
80-20.
80-20.
You said
unless
60
you're
before,
planning to
which
pick up the
confused
other
me.
20%, Ms. Wellens, I think it would have to be.
I think that's doubtful.
80-20.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think that takes us to the end of this work session. I, again, appreciate my colleagues' indulgence and also want to thank the county executive staff. I want to thank our employee union leadership as well as our county council central office staff and our attorney for all their work. We will then turn this over to the full council for final vote. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.